Hey everybody, how's it going today? Day number 4 of NFL free agency. We're more than halfway through the day, and it's been very, very slow. The only thing of real significance to happen is that Kenny Golladay signed with the Giants. Other than that, it's just been a couple of minor pickups here and there. But I wanted to do another follow up to the videos that were made yesterday by me dealing with Chris Carson because finally this morning we got some of these specific contract details, and as I said that I would discuss them when they were released, I decided I'd go ahead and do another video to discuss them. So let's just go ahead and do it now, and maybe in the next few hours the Seahawks will do something for day number 4. But first, we are now at 2,720 subscribers, so the channel continues to blow up, which is awesome. Thank you to everybody who's a part of the channel. Um, I haven't been able to give full shout outs lately, but rest assured that they will be returning in the coming days. All right, so Chris Carson's contract. Let's take a look at what Spotrac reports. This is a great contract. I have good news. This contract has pretty much turned me around on this signing. I can no longer say this is a bad signing. Honestly, I think it's reasonable to now conclude that it's a pretty good signing. There's only one real speed bump here, and the speed bump is not that big. So I think that even as somebody who is dubious of Carson's value in this offense, the only fair and reasonable thing to do is conclude that this is a good contract and it's very unlikely to be something that the Seahawks end up regretting. So let's break it down. 2021, which is obviously the fast approaching season we're about to be playing, we are looking at a cap hit for Chris Carson of $2.5 million. $2.5 million. That's just barely more than 1% of the salary cap. So there are over 20 running backs in the NFL who have a higher cap hit than Carson in 2021. And Carson, even with his injuries, even if you include some of the fumbling issues he's had, is clearly a top 20 running back in the NFL. So, look, if this is all we have to worry about for 2021, that's really good. Now, let's go to 2022 and try to capture all the data here because this is the one kind of sticking point that may arise. But I don't think it's a very big one. If you take a look at 2022, Chris Carson's cap hit is $6.4 million. That's a little more significant. That's probably going to be a little more than 3% of the cap. That puts him not on the top tier of paid running backs, but maybe around the second tier. However, one way to look at this contract would be that 2021 is like his audition in the Shane Waldron offense. If Chris Carson does well in the Shane Waldron offense, we bring him back and he's going to pretty easily be able to do enough to earn 6.4 million in 2022. If he proves that he doesn't belong in the Shane Waldron offense, which I still think is a possibility, then the opportunity to cut him before 2022 starts still exists, and there would only be a dead cap hit of $3 million, which is something that is going to be manageable. $3 million is going to be less than 2% of the cap. Teams eat dead money hits like $3 million all the time. It does happen. It's not something we would be crazy excited about. It would definitely have to be a scenario where we decide we'd rather have the $3.5 million than having Chris Carson on the team. But this is completely workable and gives us basically an easy decision to make going into 2022. Either Carson does well in 2021 and we keep him for 6.4 million, which is a reasonable price for a good running back, or he doesn't and we cut him and eat the 3 million, which again is completely manageable. Now, there is dead money in 2023, which I spoke about yesterday, but good news, it's $1.5 million. That's very, very insignificant. That is less than 1% of the cap. That's, hey, $1.5 million of dead money to have somebody who could be a featured running back for the next 2 years. I'll take that. I will take that trade, especially when it opens the door for this team to consider maybe doing this for a few other players in order to bring in the missing links that they need to fill out a championship quality roster. So, after having a look at the details of this Chris Carson contract as someone who was skeptical about re-signing him, I have to say this is pretty damn good. It kind of confuses me because this contract being presented has nothing in common with the contract that we were told he was getting yesterday, but I'm not going to question it. As you can see, even Spotrac now has his deal being listed as a 2-year, $10.4 million contract, which is just plain not what we were told yesterday, but it's also far more agreeable, so I'm not that interested in looking a gift horse in the mouth. I'm assuming there are some incentives in here that may increase the money he makes in 2022 and the potential cap hit, but I'm also thinking that it's somewhat unlikely he gets to any incentives because he can't stay healthy, and we're probably going to be utilizing other running backs by that point in time. So that's really all I can say about the Chris Carson contract. It's a very good contract. It doesn't harm us at all, really, in 2021. There is no reason why this team can't bring in a defensive end and a pass rusher, or maybe even another center with this salary on the books. The only sticking point, like I said, is 2022, but even that is entirely workable. So if you go to Spotrac's salary cap page for the Seahawks, you can see that Chris Carson's new 2021 salary is now factored in the $2.5 million cap hit, which amounts to 1.36% of the cap. Less than Jordan Brooks is making, less than LJ Collier is making. Actually, it's even less than Rashad Penny. So I think we did really well here, guys. I was a little concerned after what we saw yesterday, but this is really good. Now, Spotrac says that we have $3.6 million in remaining cap space, and they still haven't filled in the salaries for some of our recent acquisitions: Everett, Ford, Posick, Fuller, and Neal. So my point from the other day remains: we are already over the cap by a pretty significant amount, possibly $10 million, meaning that there must be some sort of restructure or trade in the works. Or, in effect, it's already been done and it just needs to be announced, however you want to put it. But I am definitely keeping an eye out for when this restructuring or trade gets announced. I'm anticipating it pretty much any time now. There's no point in keeping this a secret, really, so it's probably just something the team quietly took care of, and we're just waiting for it to be announced. But good off-season so far. This has drastically improved my take on the Chris Carson contract. I am now far more amenable to it, and I'm excited to see what we might do today because we still have the opportunity to make further moves. There is still a lot of cap space we can clear, and there are a lot of big salaries that we could move or reduce. All right, peace out. Go Hawks. My next video should have the webcam. I know I usually don't do non-webcam videos anymore, but my setup's not ready yet, so I decided to make do with this. And yeah, that's going to do it for me. Peace out. Go Hawks.